This is the first play the Lakers ran with Andre Drummond as their center, and it was a bit out of sync, which should be expected when incorporating a new guy like this very early in the game. First of all, the screen set is way too obvious that it's coming, especially for a guy like Drew Holiday, all defensive team. He could sniff out things like this pretty easily. The angle of the screen also doesn't help the outcome. If the screen is set on the opposite side of the circle and a little higher, Schroeder and Drummond would have a better runway to execute this play. Schroeder also doesn't allow Morris the time to take Giannis to the strong side. I mean, he goes at the same time as Morris clears out, which allows Giannis to clog the driving lane, and that takes away Schroeder's threat to score at the rim. Also notice how Giannis goes under this flick screen here by KCP. If Morris recognizes this and he cuts back door here, that's an open layup. And then that again goes back to the patience of Schroeder. If he waits for this play to develop, that's an easy two. So even with all that said, Drummond still has a good look at this. But check out Brook Lopez here. He's a savvy defender. It's very subtle, but look at the slight push that he gives Drummond in the air, which bumps him off his spot. And this is a pretty dangerous play, but Lopez gets away with it. So from what I saw in the first game, screen setting appeared to be somewhat of an issue. On this play here, Drummond setting a drag screen for Schroeder, who's going to the middle of the floor. But watch as he just backs into Holiday, which creates a spacing problem, where now Drummond is not a threat to score the ball, and Schroeder's on his own right there in the middle of four defenders. And they just close in on him, and DiVincenzo ends up getting the block. So if a solid screen is set here, that creates a chain reaction where Drummond rolls out into the space. Brook Lopez has to come up, and Schroeder has Drummond available maybe for a little pocket pass between the two defenders. But in this case, Drummond just backs into the defenders, and it not only clogs up the space, but then it takes away him being a threat to score. On this play here, KCP comes off of this screen, but one more time, look at how Drummond sets his screen. He kind of nonchalantly sets it and looks like he's avoiding the contact, and DiVincenzo goes right through that. He recovers almost immediately on KCP. So as KCP turns the corner, there's no way DiVincenzo's already recovered because there was no screen set. This is where things like screen setting, it goes a long way against good defenses in the NBA. So Drummond needs to tighten up his screen setting. I don't know if this was the game plan to just avoid the screens or slip out early, but that needs to be cleaned up. The Lakers really made it a top priority to get Drummond the ball early on in this game. But sometimes you just have to have a little patience when working somebody new into the offense. Take a look at where Drummond catches this ball. It's almost at the 3-point line. Everybody's clearing out, giving him space to operate against Brook Lopez, who's a great defender. Drummond can handle the ball a little bit, but I don't know if I want my center handling the ball from the 3-point line when you have guys like Kuzma and Schroeder on the court. It's better to get him a look at the rim. If he does his work early, bodies up his man and catches it at least at the logo there, or close to the hash mark, he could do more damage. But you don't want your center catching the ball out here and trying to make a play. So if he gets caught up here and he gets stood up as he gets in the paint and he drives, there's no options because there's no movement on the weak side. It's just him trying to make a play, which I don't think that's a good look. Now, take a look at this play. Look at how deep Drummond gets on Giannis. I mean, they should run this 50 times in the game. If you notice, there's good spacing on the perimeter. Drummond has a deep seal. Naturally, there'll be help coming when there's a seal of this magnitude. But look, DiVincenzo comes there from the weak side. Kuzma recognizes that, so Kuzma just sends that ball deep corner, and now Drummond loses his seal. This is where if you had a veteran like LeBron James running this exact same play, he would recognize DiVincenzo coming in from that weak side, and he would fake that ball to KCP and hit Drummond right there in his pocket, and that would be a dunk. You have to find a way to manipulate the defense when you get an opportunity like this. Now I want to talk about Drummond's defense, especially against Miami. I mean, the guy looked incredible. Light on his feet, good movement, good reads, rotations were on point. He just looked like he was in tune with what the Lakers were doing, and they were feeding off his defensive energy. So Miami has his floor space nicely here, trying to get something for Bam Adebayo and Duncan Robinson. But look at Drummond. Knees are bent. He's engaged with the offensive player. He looks very interested in what's going on. And the key thing here is that he doesn't come out of his stance. Right here, he knows that a handoff is coming. So what he does is, knowing that he has 3 guys on the weak side to tag this, he blitzes this handoff here. And there's not very many big men in the league with hands like Drummond. I mean, he's very active with his hands, always on top of the league as far as centers and steals. And this is going to go a long way in the playoffs for the Lakers, because there's a lot of 5-1 switches. There's a lot of centers switched on the point guards in the playoffs because of the way defenses try to switch everything. And that's going to pay dividends. This play is a perfect example of why they say defensive energy is contagious. Miami's trying to do a handoff here, this time going to the middle of the floor. Look at Drummond again. He's in his stance. He's ready to blitz this. Miami's ready for it, and Duncan Robinson throws a little pocket pass to Bam Adebayo, who has a nice runaway to the rim. But look how seamless the Lakers' rotations are. Morris comes off of his man in the corner, and Schroeder just slides down the play between Oladipo and Ariza. And again, look at the constant activity. Even after the missed shot, Drummond's running in to crash that board. He was near the 3-point line. He runs in to crash that. That's some activity right there that you can't teach. And in late game playoff situations, these are the types of plays that makes the difference. This is one of my favorite plays from the Miami game. Miami's in transition. Duncan Robinson has almost a clear path to the rim if nobody picks him up here. Drummond recognizes this, and that's a center right there picking up Duncan Robinson in transition to stop his path to the rim. If this is a typical NBA center, Duncan Robinson crosses him up, gets to the rim, that's a layup. But look at how big Drummond makes himself. His wingspan is on full display here. He's making himself bigger, and that's not an easy obstacle to get around if you're the offensive player. But watch as he slides his feet, uses his body to get in front of Duncan Robinson. Look at the high hands on this pass. That's not an easy pass to make when you have a 6'10 center with his hands up. This is clever by Drummond. Watch how he makes sure his teammates are all zoned up on the perimeter players before he makes his move on doubling the post. So when he knows everybody's in position, he just pivots out and surprises Adebayo with that double, which triggers that pass, and there's Morris. He's ready for it. Schroeder and KCP now X-rotates. Oladipo gets confused and travels. I mean, this guy looks incredibly impactful on defense. And when the other guys comes back, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how further they progress. I mean, they're on top of the league in defense already, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do now with a guy like Drummond.